I just got back from playing a ton of Magic at Australia's biggest gaming convention, and I lost to this man, Magic's principal game designer, not once, not twice, but 3 separate times. Absolutely wrecked. Every cloud does however have a silver lining, and in this video I'm going to share 3 different lessons that I learned from losing to the man that makes all the cards. This event was the first time taking my highly customized human robot out for a spin. Yes, I could have made them more dashing and handsome, but I didn't want to intimidate my fellow nerds. Regardless, this first public appearance in air quotes was pretty cool, and in the spirit of learning was a step outside of my comfort zone. The first step in my journey was flying down a day early, as the day before PAX Australia saw me piling into a meeting room in a shared office space in central Melbourne to meet up with my fellow Commander Clash competitors to get a practice game in. The one and only Gavin Verhey and his deck building elves built the decks that we were going to play, so we needed to get some reps in before we were unleashed on stage. I'll tell you what's amusing, and that's the look of countless normies walking to the bathroom during their workday, seeing some nerds in full flight, slinging spells and taking names, but I digress. The deck building elves had prepared a Loot the Pathfinder deck for me, which was very fun to pilot. But despite me taking to the deck like a frog to water, Gavin, having all the knowledge, unsurprisingly won our practice game. And this is where my first lesson comes in. And this lesson is ironically all about learning and knowledge itself. When we were done, one of the gang asked if they could take their deck with them overnight so that they could go and learn all the cards. I definitely understood and encouraged them to do that because Gavin did win our practice game, at least in part, due to the overwhelming knowledge gap that existed between us. I, however, declined. I didn't need to because I've played a lot of Magic and already knew pretty much every single card in the deck. I don't think that taking a new deck home with you so that you can learn it before piloting it on stage the next day is particularly groundbreaking, but it is a proactive step towards learning, and small proactive steps towards learning when added together end up producing big results over time. Many people sort of sleepwalk their way through life, both in and outside of the game of Magic, and this sleepwalking causes them to miss lots of teachable moments. In Japan, they have a name for this, called Kaizen, which says that significant positive results may be achieved due to the cumulative effect of many, often small and even trivial improvements. I'll let you go and explore the concept of Kaizen by yourself. It's simple and definitely worth exploring. But if we apply this to Magic, it means proactively learning and actively paying attention when you see a new card, type of deck, or interaction. Even if you're not the one piloting it, in fact, especially if you're not the one piloting it, you should be curious and should be committing what you see to memory, as it gives you 4 times the opportunities to learn. I am just the frog and by no means more amazing or intelligent than anyone else, but these small cumulative learnings or improvements are why I didn't need to take my deck with me to study it. Despite never having played Loot or many of the cards in the deck, I had seen the cards before and had paid attention and had played with enough similar cards that I understood the interactions between them and what this deck was trying to do. I mentioned the phrase sleepwalking because I often see newer or casual players autopiloting during games. In some cases, this is because of information overload, which I completely understand, but those I observe often have the basics down, so they have the mental bandwidth, but they just aren't using it. This means that often they don't know what every card in their deck does, and even if they do, they don't understand what makes their deck tick, like how the cards interact with each other and what the deck's win lines are. And that's before we even talk about what a good opening hand looks like or when to mulligan, because that requires one to properly understand the deck's game plan. And that's before we even start talking about your opponent's decks, how to play against them, and how to get the most out of your deck against certain matchups or archetypes. Piloting a deck well means understanding all the layers of the onion, and if you haven't peeled away a particular layer, you probably can't see past it to the other layers within your deck. And I know all of this firsthand because it was a lack of information and knowledge that caused me to crash out in second place and lose to Gavin on stage, but we'll get to that in a minute. The TLDR of this lesson is to approach everything in life with curiosity, especially each game of Magic, and to be actively trying to learn new things each game, even if they are very minor, because Kaizen teaches us that those small things add up. If you leave a game, check in mentally with what you've learned, even if it's just a new card or interaction, because simply being aware is half the battle. If you can't think of anything, that should be a red flag, and you may want to do some self-reflection because many important life lessons may just be passing you by. If you're enjoying this, I cook up videos like this that help you think differently about Magic and Commander. Videos that will help you build better decks, play better, and ultimately have more fun. If you want more of that, like the video to tell the algorithm that you think it's good and subscribe to make sure that my next banger gets delivered directly into your eyeballs. The first official day of PAX Australia for me started with a breakfast of champions and then a quick trip to both the Magic the Gathering booth and then a costume shop to pick up some last minute drip so that I could look the part on stage. Being on stage was, after all, the main reason for me being at PAX this year, and I was going to be taking part in a Commander showdown alongside Gavin Verhey, Ifino Adiwe, and fellow Aussie creator Ruby Blaze. I am very thankful to the legends at Magic the Gathering and eBay Australia for making this happen, because it's the first time I've seen Magic given such a large presence at Australia's biggest gaming show, and I absolutely love it. This was my first time doing something like this, so I'd be lying if I said I wasn't at least a little bit nervous, but it was ultimately just playing a Commander game with some cool people, and I do that multiple times a week, so I knew it would be fine. I'm going to link to the full show in the description in the comments, but I'll show you some highlights so that you have some context for Lesson 2. If you came only for the raw lesson source and aren't too bothered by the highlights, I've dropped a timestamp on screen that you can skip to. I was piloting my loot deck into Ruby's Armed and Glamorous Saskia the Unyielding deck, Gavin's Mathis Friend Seeker deck, and Iffy's Rakdos the Muscle deck.
Let's hear it for Graham from the Mace Deck Department.
So I'm going to tap this island. I'm going to play a Soul Ring.
Cheating.
Right on time.
Lots of mana.
And I will play Loot the Pathfinder. Go on, Team Green, guys.
The first commander is into the battlefield.
I think I'm going to go to combat because Loot does have Double Strike, Vigilance, and Haste. He's a card designed in 2025, okay, 2024. And I think Ruby, I'm going to send this little guy you because while Lightning is scary, he might be a little bit scarier.
Interesting.
6 mana, what's it going to be? Aurelia, the war leader. Go ahead.
All right. So you're gonna attack Aurelia on Graham?
Yeah, for the Monarch and the extra combat.
All right, we're attacking you, Graham. Attacking.
So I'm gonna respond. I'm gonna tap this command tower to make a blue mana. I'm gonna tap my Curious Follow to untap my command tower. Do that again. Just give myself another blue mana because 2 blue mana is never scary. And I'm going to cut back to reality and give you some gravity and give you a reality shift on that Aurelia. Yeah, let's go, Team Green.
She'll get exiled. We'll manifest the top card of our library. Let's see. I'm gonna play Sepulchral Primordial from my hand. And for each of my opponents, I get to steal a creature from their graveyard. Iffy, I'm gonna take your Sephiroth.
Okay, cool.
Graham, what do we have from you? I'll take the Adventurous Zendikar that you put into the graveyard. That sounds great. And you got Lightning.
This is my only creature.
Lightning's a fine one to take. What a nice little crew there. Woo! All right, that's nice.
Okay, so I will untap and I will take my turn, and hopefully I can do some cool stuff too. Because okay, yeah, I think we've got some juice here. 7 mana, and I'm going to play a little creature that you might know. It's called Itali Primal Conqueror.
The reign of the little guys comes to an end here.
Meathook Massacre.
All right, I'll exile for mine one at a time here. You got a lightning of your own. Lightning all the way around.
That is spicy. What do you get for me?
Boots.
A Swiftfoot Boots.
Wow, it's pretty good with the 7/7.
Okay, I get a professional facebreaker. Nice.
Yeah.
This is going to be a turn, I think. We're gonna get up to some shenanigans. I feel like this has been far too civil. I'm going to play a spell called Full Throttle.
Oh my god.
So what this does is, after this main phase, there are 2 additional combat phases, and each of my creatures untaps in each phase. So we're going to have a bit of combat fun. I'm going to need some help here because this is a big combat step. I need a crack game from the crowd.
3 combats?
I get 3 combats.
3 combats.
And I'm just saying, there's a man over here with not a lot of blockers, so whoever I bring out, the crack gamer, could maybe end Iffy's life here. If they want to go big.
Beautiful.
So I will say to you, before you go to combat, again,
Yes.
you could choose whatever you want to do here. Gavin's honestly got a big board. Ruby. I think Ruby's looking very friendly to me at the moment. So.
Friendly.
And,
We're
and
all
she's,
friends.
she's also from Melbourne, so you
We're
might
all
want to take them together.
friends.
Iffy, he's my best friend. But he
Do we
does
hit
have
our friends?
he has no blocker, one blocker.
One blocker.
One blocker that's also a blood artist, so you missed that.
And 44 lives.
So you think
3
about what you want to do,
combats.
you have a look. Obviously, I will remind you that, when one of our creatures deal damage, we get treasures, so that's good.
That's important.
We could make a lot of mana. When lightning hits someone, that person then takes a lot more damage, and you've got some amplification effects going on here. And then, of course, Italia and Loot can both deal some damage. So you think about what you want to do.
Okay, so what's our...
All right. Yeah, I think I'm going
Let's
to.
send that all at Iffy.
Oh yeah, okay, that's a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
We'll
that's,
see how we go.
So
I respect it.
Yeah.
that is going to be how much? Let's see. That's 26.
26 and 4 of it commander damage.
Okay.
And those are the first of 3 combat steps.
Oh my gosh.
Hell.
So I think if those two go at Iffy, that would probably be the end of Iffy.
Unfortunately, that would be the end of it.
So do we want to start sending stuff at Gavin?
Yeah, no, Gavin needs to go. To be honest.
Do we want to keep
I
our
think,
professional facebreaker?
For that, I am going to block.
The
and
trample
then-
would still happen.
Oh, that's fine. I'm going to do 2 damage to you before I die.
Okay. That comes at you, and then lightning comes at you as well.
Okay, so you're attacking me with lightning, Atali, and loot.
Yes.
Well, I was kind of saving this for a rainy day, but now
That day has come, maybe.
Clouds are assembling on the horizon.
Yeah.
Let's get
now
them.
that Iffy has perished, I feel comfortable doing this. I'm gonna cast.
I'm sorry, my friend.
Oh no.
I'm gonna cast Everybody Lives.
Everybody lives except
Except Iffy.
you took it. If you let's hear from John and everyone from Team Green.
Wow, what a turn! Great one, George.
To play a Pinnacle Monk. When it enters the battlefield, I can return an instant or sorcery from my graveyard to my hand. I think I'm going to get Irenicus' Vile Duplication, which I can cast. So I'm going to use my treasures to cast Irenicus' Vile Duplication for yet another loot.
Everybody, it's time for, if you know me, you know this story. It's time for the problematic volcano. Here's how this card works, in case you've never seen this card before. So I'm going to start by having it enter the battlefield, and I'm going to target your real loot.
I think I'm dead.
And then I'm going to attack. I'm going to attack you
they come.
with Vincent, Primordial, Mathis, and my 3/1 power plants, and I will choose on the attack to transform Vincent into a trample life-linking creature right here. It's very huge. So do you have any effects? This is the question. Do you have mana from loot hanging out? You got a grip full of cards?
I'm gonna try, but I don't think I have anything. No, I don't think I have anything.
No.
You got it.
That's it.
It looks like Gavin's going to win the game. Yeah. At the Commander Showdown, our champion all the way from the United States of America, joining us from Wizards R&D, principal game designer from 1C, Wizards of the Coast.
Good job, Rex.
Now for lesson 2. In truth, this lesson isn't new to me, but relearning old lessons is often as important as learning new ones, and it's one of the joys of teaching. Coming into this game, my goal was to put on as good a show as possible. I think that many people coming in as a new face on stage, with someone like Gavin and Iffy, would have wanted to try their level best to shine and to win, making the game about them where they can. I intentionally played for the crowd, for fun, and ultimately for a good time for everyone involved. Doing things like giving my big turn to an audience member, Jordan. I did this because I thought it would be memorable for her, more memorable for the audience, and because of that also more memorable for me. If you watched the highlights, you'd know I obviously shared my thoughts with her, but ultimately whatever she decided I'd have been happy with, regardless of how it impacted the game. Because my experience wasn't the focus here. I love winning and occasionally being the main character, but I also know when to step back or to shine the limelight on someone else. This mindset also extends to the final plays of the game. When I play the Pinnacle Monk, the cutthroat and calculated play would have been not to rush, to take my time, and to assess Gavin's board state in painstaking detail, then ultimately grab the reality shift to deal with the absolutely massive Vincent. But given the state of the game and that we just hit about 2 hours in, I was very mindful of the audience's fatigue and that Ruby and Iffy were just sitting there waiting. What I wanted much more than winning was avoiding dead space in a game and slow play. Slow play that would have served me if my goal was to win, but not if my goal was more fun for everyone involved. The rest, as they say, is history. Gavin hit me with a goddamn playtest volcano, but given how most of the audience was there for Gavin and Iffy to begin with, one of them winning was ultimately for the best anyway. Linking this back to your games, there are times when doing something purely for fun, showing mercy, or making a self-sacrificing play for the table is the most base thing you can do. Lord knows absolutely demolishing your friend that is brand new to the game isn't going to encourage them to pick up the cards again when you're the one that encouraged them to do it in the first place. I'm definitely not saying that each game should be a performative pissing contest where we all try to out-nice guy each other, but knowing when to leave your cutthroat competitive spirit at the door is a soft skill that I think will improve your games, your fun, and have people enjoy playing with you much more. With the big Commander game behind me, the rest of the weekend was filled with all kinds of magic, but there are two experiences in particular that I want to call out that lead to my third lesson. The first is a Chaos Draft with Ben Bateman, and the second is a Pauper tournament hosted by Gavin. On the evening after the Commander Showdown, eBay were hosting an open tabletop night with chilled music, ambient lighting, tacos, and a bar. It was a whole vibe. My plan was to play a ton of Commander, but then Ben and Gavin started looking for players to fill a Chaos Draft, which is not exactly something you can say no to when you're invited. For those that don't know, a Chaos Draft is just a regular Magic draft where you pick cards from packs and pass them around as you build and play a deck. Except those packs are from a variety of completely different sets. This creates all kinds of interesting dynamics as these cards weren't really meant to be played together, and we had some absolute bangers like an Urza's Saga pack and a Magic 30th pack. On everyone who drafted's behalf, I have to say a big thank you to Ben for making it happen. Now, I had not drafted like this in a very long time, so I was rusty to say the least. I ended up with a Bant deck that aimed to control the game a bit, then drop a big creature, and then outmuscle opponents. With my questionable deck ready and sleeved, I found out who my first round opponent was, and it was none other than, as we say in these parts, the one and only Gavin Verhey. Our round played out in fairly rapid succession, and I say rapid because Gavin was locked in and his Orzhov deck filled with small beaters and ample removal meant that my strategy of deterring attacks with bigger creatures fell completely flat. In losing so swiftly, I had a big realization. Gavin won because of something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while now. Something that I think most Commander players don't understand very well if they understand it at all, and that's tempo. This is really a topic that's worth an entire video, but I'm at least going to give you the teaser so that you can start thinking about it now. In this case, Gaz's deck wasn't outrageously fast or strong, but it was always one step ahead in a way that meant that my game plan never eventuated. Tempo in limited or constructed formats is always an incredibly important thing. It's so important that the player who plays second gets a whole extra card. And if you pay attention to most of the games of competitive Magic, watching the ebb and flow of who is the aggressor and who is setting the tempo will often show you who's winning. Tempo decks in 40 or 60 card formats employ a disrupting playstyle. They don't go as fast as all-out aggro decks, and they don't go as slow as mid-range or control decks, but what they do is aim to play early threats and then disrupt opponents just enough so that those threats manage to seal the deal. A tempo deck will thus often try to slow down and control their aggro or combo matchups, while acting as an aggro deck if they face mid-range or control lists. In this way, tempo decks are a little bit like mid-range decks in Commander, as they have a reasonable chance against most of what they're going to face, but that's about where the similarities end. Because in Commander, tempo behaves completely differently, and I'd argue that in Commander, tempo is much more about judging the game state and deciding when to try to win the game. While the way that we use tempo in Commander is different, being able to judge tempo and the ebb and flow of resources in a game of Magic is a skill or muscle that many Commander players lack. And it's a muscle that is best built in the competitive Magic gym. I mentioned Gavin's Pauper tournament earlier, and it only reinforced the thought that I had while I was getting absolutely walloped in the Chaos Draft. Here I fared a little bit better and went 2-1 with my loss being to a literal unwinnable matchup. I was piloting a discard burn list, but it dawned on me how much the matchups were determined by managing the ebb and flow of the game. Was I throwing my burn spells at my opponent's face and being aggressive, or was I instead pinging their creatures and acting as a control deck? A simple realization, but for someone that's been playing mostly Commander for the last few years, a stark realization and lesson to relearn nonetheless. So the lesson here is that tempo plays such an important part in literally any game of Magic, and that is probably something that you should think about more. And if you're looking for a place to practice it, then your next pre-release or perhaps a game of Pauper are probably the most accessible and thus best opportunities to do that. PAX Australia was in retrospect a very important event for me. But not because I got to hang out with Ben, Gavin, Ify, and Ruby, or my new best friend Aaron from Good Games Morley. It was important because my whole life, and increasingly in recent years, I've shied away from the spotlight. In school, I hated presenting in class, and in my career, I hated talking in front of large groups of people. This is at least in part caused by bouts of pretty crippling anxiety. I know, right? Get a lot of this content creator that doesn't like being in the limelight. But seriously, there are moments where I'd wondered whether agreeing to do this was a mistake, and that I'd get a panic attack mid-show and let down those that trusted me to do a good job. Anyone that's had a panic attack knows how absolutely terrifying that prospect is. When I thought about how I wanted to approach making a video about my time at PAX this year, I decided that learning would be at the core of it, because pushing myself to do this, despite some reasons not to, has helped me learn and relearn many things both inside, but much more importantly outside of the game of Magic. And it's helped me break through some of the limits that anxiety has placed on me in recent years. I don't think we talk about things like this enough, so I wanted to share this at the end, especially for those that came to support the show or that tried to find me to say hello. It meant a lot. And I leave this event excited to do more shows like this, so who knows, maybe next stop MagicCon. I hope you, dear base viewer, have found this useful, and if you want to support what I do, smash up the like button or head over to my Patreon. Or if you want some personal tailored help, or you're just horribly rich and want to jettison some money, you can find that over on my Ko-fi, all of which you can find the links to down below the like button. If you have any secret tech as to how to learn things in and around the game of Magic, or you just have some thoughts to share after watching this video, yeet yourself at the comments, write meow, or come and join the yappening in the base deck department Discord. And if you like this, go and watch one of these videos, you'll probably enjoy them too, and as always, thank you for being here.